Most people have heard of dissociation in the context of out-of-body experience, in the trauma context, PTSD, extreme fight or flight response, etc. It is a form of disconnection from sensation. When we disconnect from sensation, it means we don't have to feel current reality, yeah, physical reality, and in particular emotional reality. And the emotional reality creates a lot of movement in the system, in the body, in the mind, and that is often what the correspondingly in the nervous system, and then the mind is interpreting sensation and the movement within. And when there is a lot of emotion, there can be a desire to soothe the system by disconnecting from the movement, disconnecting from the flux, from the sensation, and correspondingly from what that sensation is triggering in the mind, yeah? And often these are painful and heavy emotions which are difficult to process, which are somewhat inaccessible. You could say another word for inaccessible is unconscious. And the first thing I want to say is dissociation can look like many different things. And for those of you taking my trauma of energetics of trauma course, I'm going to be talking about this in depth and showing you how to work with this, how to recognize it and how to work with it. Dissociation can look like many different things, right? It's a spectrum. And it's a spectrum that we live through and live on and discover ourselves through on an ongoing basis. So let's just take the word dissociation and let's normalize it a little bit, yeah? Let's create a new ground where this word can be a little bit more accepted rather than, oh, dissociation is something that happens to war veterans who have PTSD, right? Very extreme cases. Dissociation is happening at all levels, at all times. To some degree, it's necessary for survival, because if you were feeling everything so deeply, all sensations, including unconscious ones, that you didn't have a capacity to cognitively orientate around and understand and then deal with and process in the heart, you would probably spontaneously combust because it's too much information, yeah? And often you'll hear this from people who are have a lot of trauma in their bodies and have been through a lot. To feel is too much. It's too much to feel. It's too much to feel what they are already feeling inside, but trying really, really hard and spending a lot of energy trying not to feel. Trying to disconnect from. Now, organ dissociation is a very real phenomenon. Almost every day, I'm working with clients who have dissociated from various organs. Because the organs are such dense structures in our bodies, they really hold a lot. They hold a lot of memories, a lot of trauma imprints. If you think back to the in utero development of organs, how are organs developing? They're developing within a fluidic space that is constantly being imprinted by all types of flux. And so organs are literally developing from movement, from the dance between movement and stillness. So your organs, which have been with you for a very long time, are not just physical machines designed to do a physical job, yeah? They interact with the entirety of your being, physical, emotional, energetic. They reflect back the entirety of your being. They reflect back more than your mind will. Yeah. And this is what's really powerful about working with your organs and doing direct work to tune in and start listening to your organs. So, organ dissociation is a way of disconnecting from the feelings and the memories and the trauma that your organs hold. So, what does that look like? In the body, eventually, long-term chronic dissociation from organs, from feeling, from sensation, when there has been a lot of trauma, will look like physical disease. Yeah? If you think about it, it's the equivalent to putting an animal in a room and leaving it there, closing all the doors and just saying, okay, you can be there because I don't want to look at you, I don't want to feel you, I don't want to communicate with you, and I don't want to hear you because you remind me of too many things. It's too painful, it's too much. So you stay there. Eventually, there will be a physical consequence. Yeah? The physical consequence of organ dissociation is the last resort. That's when things have really been neglected. Health has really been neglected, emotional health and intelligence has really been neglected, and the trauma narrative has been completely brushed under the carpet. And then that room becomes uncomfortable to go in, yeah? Because you've got this highly charged, distressed, probably decaying element in there, yeah? That's begging for its life back, but you've shut it away. Now, you wouldn't do that to an animal, but you do it to your organs, yeah? That's the tragedy. And that's the opportunity. So the physical site of disease and illness is the last resort. Nothing just happens overnight. Organs don't just suddenly degrade overnight. This is a process that takes decades, yeah? Many years. This is a consequence, not a cause. Energetically, organ dissociation will look like the organs not being in the correct place in the body, in the energy body. For example, either in a different location, which is possible. It won't be in a completely different location, but it will be much further away from the midline. Midline is center, spine. It can also look like a greying out, like there's an aliveness and a vibrancy in the energy system, and then you've got this flat area where it's just not alive, it's not vibrant, it doesn't move, it's stagnant, it's still, it's heavy, and it's grey. The key to recognizing organ dissociation is to see where that person is in relation to the organ. Organ dissociation occurs when the person doesn't recognize that they are even dissociated from the organ. Yeah? There's no relationship there. Not only are they unaware that they have put the animal in the room and locked all the doors and closed all the windows and left it there without food, without nourishment, without connection, they have no memory of having ever done that. Do you see the picture I'm painting of what dissociation is versus disconnection? Yeah, Disconnection is, okay, I know I've put that there and I'll deal with it at some point, but not right now. Dissociation is, I don't even know that I've done that, right? When did I do that? An extreme level of dissociation is, that's not even my house. That room doesn't belong to me. I've never been there, right? And this is often what you'll find when people have got no certain amount of memories are missing, yeah? Many years of memories are missing from their lives. Never been there. I wasn't there. They weren't there. So what was there? Some part of their energy body vibrated there. And unfortunately, it will always find its way back to you because it belongs to you. Yeah? And it's also fortunate because it allows you to then find a way to heal that. But it is a very, very severe level of blankness and not knowing, and I don't know what I don't know. I can't feel what I can't feel. Yeah? And this you might recognize from your own process. So if you recognize, pay attention to where you have experienced this, yeah? On different levels. I'm making these very subtle processes explicit. I'm trying to use analogies that can create some vivid imagery for you to really see what something that can be quite subtle, but beneath the bonnet, you can experience and start to see it as a vivid, alive process. Because only when you see it can you heal it. So what we have here is we have a midline with organs that are in different places that they need to be energetically, either too far out, too much squeezed in, and inherently not part of a network. And the body is a network. Yeah? The body is a neural network. Everything communicates with everything else. When the lines of communication start getting severed, you'll find that organs are operating in standalone function, yeah? They're on their own. And they don't function on their own, yeah? Channels of communication need to be very awake and alive and engaged, and there needs to be this constant internal communication and flow. And when that communication starts getting dulled down to the degree where it's non-existent, that doesn't happen overnight. That happens after a long time of disconnecting, of not feeling, of not addressing health. Yeah? And then it becomes harder to recognize that there's anything wrong. Because the brain, the neural networks between, say, the gut and the heart, the gut and the brain, the liver and the gut, even the kidneys and the intestines, like all of these systems work together, the womb and the heart. And it's very common to find this, right? So there's people who think that they're healthy but have got such extreme levels of organ dissociation. It's unreal. And you can read my blog. I've got a blog post which I wrote, I think 2 years ago, and it's still relevant today. And it's a client case of reconnecting all of her organs at the same time, right? And she was so disconnected, she brought them all in to the table, and they started having this conference. And she was there, like, on the outside, kind of watching in. All these organs have this huge, finally they had been brought to the table together, and they were all reconnecting, for her own good, right? They were all discussing, like, how do we reconnect? How do we support her system better? How can we do this? How can we do that? It was literally like the most intelligent conference I've ever been to. Yeah, there was so much sense going on there, and you could feel it, and you could feel her awe at how she was being taken care of by her own organs, which she had dissociated from. They wanted to take care of her. Organ intelligence, yeah? organ intelligence. Organ intelligence is not mechanical. It's much more than that. So, displacing, disconnecting, numbing, quieting, muffling, all these things that you do to your organs, chuck one out, put it next door. It's abuse. Yeah? You will be quick to recognize when somebody is abusing you, harming you. This is self-harm. This is deep and pervasive self-harm that is often unacknowledged. It's very difficult to love yourself and to embody high frequencies and your high potential when you are fundamentally at an organ level not embodied. Yeah? How can you? All the parts are everywhere. Nothing speaks to anything else. And you're like, I know I need to love myself. How? You don't know what's where. You don't know what to love. You don't know how to love. You can't feel anything, right? Now, organ dissociation can also happen, not just through trauma. Yeah, so it's very common to have, for example, unresolved rage from very early, sometimes even in utero, that starts to reflect in the liver and is never addressed. And the liver becomes heavy and stagnant and disconnected from the body, from the mind. Someone cannot describe to you how their liver feels. They're just like, liver, what? Huh? It's just an organ, right? It's just there, right? Right? They cannot explain to you how their heart feels. Oh, well, I guess it's pumping blood. No? That's it. That's the level of connection they have, yeah? Womb. Oh, well, I had children. I have periods. So, what else is there to know? This, yeah? Now you're getting an idea of what I'm talking about when I say organ dissociation versus deep, visceral connection, intelligence, and harmonization. So it's not just always trauma related. I've seen dissociation happen when there have been surgeries. Yeah. After injuries, for example. Injuries, illnesses, where there have been big surgeries that have taken place, very serious conditions that have then, someone has the surgery and they make a certain degree of recovery back to what they consider normality, but actually they haven't addressed the fundamental impact of that on their system, yeah, because they can't feel it. So people have all sorts of surgeries, yeah, for all sorts of reasons. Oh, I removed my womb because I didn't want to have any more children. Okay. That's your solution. That was the purpose of your womb. Your womb only exists for you to become pregnant and birth a child. Then you've completely missed the point of birth and creation. You've also completely overlooked your power center, your femininity, and what womb is, because you can't feel it. So it doesn't mean anything to you, yeah? It's harsh. It's unkind. You know why it's unkind? Because it's the same as someone coming into your life and not feeling you and being like, you don't mean anything to me. You do it to yourself. Yeah? When you are unable to feel and recognize that these organs that you've been born with, that you've created, that serve more than a mechanical purpose, are there to serve you, you cut them out. Yeah? Because it's your only way of dealing with things. because your paradigm of reality doesn't involve somatic connection and true human embodiment. Yeah, your paradigm of reality involves, oh, there's a problem, get rid. Yeah, so I don't have to look at the problem, the root causes of the problem. How much are you going to cut yourself up? And there's people that do surgery after surgery after surgery, one thing after the other. Yeah, just cut it out, get rid, get rid, get rid. What's left? Broken shell. Yeah, and the grief of that is held in the body. The grief of that. So organ dissociation, it can be trauma related, it can be injury related, it can be surgical, it can be just life as well, you know. Gradually, slowly, just disconnecting from pain, disconnecting from the message of the pain, being too busy. I'm too busy. I can't feel that because I'm too busy. I don't want to feel and recognize that because it's uncomfortable, and right now it's more important for me to be doing what I'm doing. I'll deal with that another time or never. So, organ dissociation. The first step to overcoming organ dissociation is to recognize what you feel and don't feel, right? You can't reconnect if you don't know you're disconnected. Simple. You can't heal something if you don't know that it's broken. Yeah? You can't answer and support someone who needs help if they don't ask. And if you're not listening when they do ask, yeah? So the first step is really to recognize where you've disconnected from organs. So if you're lying down and you do an organ scan, I'll put another podcast up for full body organ scan. If you're lying down and you do an organ scan and you suddenly get to this black spot, this blind spot, right, where you're like, I can't feel. I just don't feel my pancreas, or I actually can't feel my gut. I feel uncomfortable. I feel some kind of heaviness, but I can't actually feel my gut. I can't feel it working. I can't feel any movement there. I'm just not aware of that space. Yeah. The first step is like, figure out what are you able to feel, how does it feel, and what are you not feeling at all. Get a lay of the land, yeah? Get a picture of your own land, your own body. And then you can start working from that point. Working with sensation by recognizing what's stagnant, what's not moving, what's dull, what's muffled, what's been numbed, what is very difficult to connect with, and also noticing the areas in your body that are vibrant, that are alive, where there is a connection. And you can see the contrast, because within all of you, you have contrast. You have areas where it's very flowing and it feels really good to be there. And when you're there, you feel like a strong version of yourself, like a calm version of yourself, like a live version of yourself. And then you have other places where you're like, this is making me think. This is sending me to my head. This is making me slightly uncomfortable. And you want to start to notice that contrast, yeah? So you're basically building your own web of intelligence, visceral intelligence within yourself, working with sensation, emotion, and physical movement. And I'll do another video to explain in more detail about how to work with each organ. Tips, right? I don't think that there are hard and fast rules. If I do that, then that. No. You're a feeling, intelligent being. And your work is to, and your power is to, allow yourself to feel your own intelligence, the way your own neural networks are communicating. That's unique to you. Yeah, there are certain principles, yeah? But you will find it yourself. So don't enter this exercise or practice like a robot. Okay, Safa said, if I do that, that, and that, then I'll get my kidneys back, right? That can be another level of dissociation. And I hear from people who are like, I do everything right. I eat right. I drink green smoothies. I do yoga every day. I run. I meditate. You know, I do all these things that I've been told are good for me, and yet I still feel like shit. I hear this a lot. It's not about what you're doing. It's about how you're doing it. It's about the quality of your presence with yourself when you're doing something. Things like practices like yoga are very, very powerful practices, but they have been deconstructed, yeah, and repackaged up in a way that is very different from the essence of yoga, yeah, which is not a bad thing. It's necessary for the current paradigm that we're in. People now in this modern day age would not be able to connect with the true essence of yoga, yeah, because most people are numb to themselves, can't feel, don't want to feel. So you have to do something very, very intensely, vigorously, in a certain way to be able to get any type of benefit from it. Because the subtleties you're not tuned into, yeah? When it's subtle, can't feel it. And I used to be like this. I used to have to do very, very intense yoga practices in order to be able to feel anything. And actually recently noticing that one single posture, the seat of observation within one single posture, can unravel an entire lifetime of information, can unravel dimensions of awareness, one single posture. So if you're doing 34 postures in 1 hour, right, what are you actually doing? Chances are you're working with the explicit, not the subtle. Because when you're in the subtle, there's very little that you have to do. Every single tiny twinge, every single minute inflection and reflection and sensation is a world of information. It's fractals opening, opening, opening. Are you aware? So when it comes to organ healing and reconnection, start with those tiny, tiny, subtle sensations and build, yeah? Don't be quick to dismiss. Oh, I can only feel like a tiny little bit there. I can only feel... You have to build on the feeling, yeah? So I get clients sometimes that are like, oh, I can just feel a twinge in my kidneys, just a twinge. And there's a lot happening there. So you can either say, I just feel a twinge, and then move away, or you can say, I feel a twinge, and I want to know more. Can I go in more? Can I feel that twinge at a deeper level, yeah? Every sensation can be felt at different levels, and as you feel at different levels, it starts to reveal information and insight to you at different levels. The same sensation, yeah? And yes, images will come. Images, memories, reflections from the past, people, ideas, lots of things will come, yeah? And then you're bringing it up to the brain. And then the key is, right, what are you doing with it up here? What are you doing with it? Do you bring it into your brain to create clarity, or do you bring this information, visceral intelligence, into the brain to create chaos? Yeah? Again, you have another choice point. You have another place where you can make a choice about how do you use this information. Do you use this information to start beating yourself up and feeling bad about yourself? Do you use this information to bathe in the wisdom that you are and that you have presented to yourself, and to be in awe of yourself, and to say, wow, look at what I'm capable of. I can do more. I can feel deeper. I can heal at a deeper level. Look at what I'm doing already. You will decide, and it will fluctuate there too. And the key there is awareness. Self-awareness will tell you how you process yourself. And yes, even when the organs have been dissociated, or there's been surgical intervention, and the organs perhaps have been altered or removed in extreme cases, the imprint, the vibrational imprint, will still be there and can still be worked with. Yeah. Of course, it's more subtle, because what you've got is a person that's had their physical organ removed, so clearly they couldn't feel that to begin with, right? They had a disconnection there, otherwise there wouldn't be a need to remove the organ, right? So now you're trying to reconnect them with something that's even more subtle, which is the energetic imprint. And you're trying to rebuild and build from a very subtle perspective, which is even harder for them to feel, right? Because they've also got the subconscious grief about losing that organ. So it's work. It will require ongoing work. Then you've got to get them to love that, yeah? Love that imprint, bring it back to life, make it vibrant, make it alive, reconnect it. So you can definitely do that work. And even when people have, for example, they decide they would need to get their womb removed for medical reasons, etc., the womb is still there. The womb is there. The energetics of womb are still there and can be healed. So that's the beauty of working with the energy body and seeing the physical body as a symptom. Yeah? Physical body is dense vibration containing the subtle realms where things are much more malleable, much more fluidic, much more open, much more available to be influenced. That's the beauty of energy work. It's very real and has a direct effect on your physical body. Yeah. And healers that don't work this way, that just tinker around in the energy space, yeah, are missing the point. You have to live in your body. You have to live with your organs. The body is your fluidic space and your organs and your intelligence and your earthly being. So there's no point doing energy work if the effects do not integrate through your body. You're here to bridge heaven on earth. And there's people that do lots of energy work but don't want to be in their bodies. Yeah? Or they're working with healers that don't recognize this person doesn't want to be in their body, so we need to work with this. This has to be central to the therapeutic work. Yeah? Because you can tinker around as much as you want with fields. But home is home.